team. Please give him your undivided attention.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Alaikum assalam.
Anybody missing a book? Everybody got a book. Okay. Grab a book. I think there's less sisters here, so
Yeah, take.
Because he said people.
If you haven't registered, please just take a minute to register, and you can go through the phone. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. First question I want to ask is, why do we need to learn Arabic? Why are we here? Why are we sitting here on Monday night, work day night, week night, and we have school tomorrow, we have work tomorrow, and it's late, we're tired, and we'll go home. Why are we here? We look towards the hadith, the story of Abbad bin Bishr radiallahu anhu, one of the Sahaba. And what happened at that time was, there was the people from Najd, which is basically from the area of Riyadh and the eastern area of Saudi Arabia, you could say. There was news that some people will attack Medina Munawwar, that they were planning to attack the Sahaba, attack the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the Prophet ﷺ preemptively sent out a contingent, and he went with them to send a message to the people that if you attack, basically we're ready for you. Just to basically flex your muscles, show them that we're not scared of you. We're here to protect ourselves. So the Prophet ﷺ and the Sahaba, they went out. There was no really fighting. Very little fighting happened. They went out. They stood their ground, and one of the things happened actually during that time was what happened was the Prophet ﷺ, one of the times because Salat al-Khawf was implemented at that time. They did Salat al-Khawf, and Salat al-Khawf is, there's half the group or half the Jama'ah, they get in a line, they start the prayer, while the other half watches and stands guard over them. Then after that they switch back. And it's really something, it's amazing. It's something how, really sweet and amazing how the Salat al-Khawf is done. When the Kuffar saw that, fear was instilled in their hearts. They got afraid, they started feeling, look at these guys, how are they so organized in this way? And they did this. So anyways, after that, they proved their point. The Muslims were going to return. This is actually called the Ghat al-Riqaq. And they were going to return back. One of the Sahaba, Abbad bin Bishr radiallahu anhu, and his brother, they decided that they wanted to take guard that night. The Prophet ﷺ asked who's going to take guard. They said we'll take guard. And the Prophet ﷺ put them at the shar. He put them at the beginning of that valley and the mouth of the valley, basically, to protect and watch over them at night. So this Abbad bin Bishr he told his brother, who was Ammar bin Yasir radiallahu anhu, he told him that, why don't you do this? The night's long, and inshallah, no, we don't really fear any attack. What I'll do is I'll take the first shift. We'll take turns. You go to sleep, and I'll watch over, and then we'll take turns. You wake up, and then I'll go to sleep. So they decided to do this. Ammar goes to sleep. Abbad bin Bishr radiallahu anhu, he does wudu and he starts praying. He starts his prayer, and he starts getting so into his prayer that he's reading and reading. All of a sudden, a man appears from the valley, one of the enemy, and he comes and he takes out his bow and arrow. He sees a man standing in the distance. He shoots an arrow at Abbad radiallahu anhu. This arrow, and they're not like us, they knew they hit their marks. He hits Abbad radiallahu anhu. Abbad radiallahu anhu, in the recitation of the Quran, in the prayer, simply takes the arrow, pulls it out of his body, imagine the pain, pulls it out, he's continuing the recitation, throws it on the ground and starts reading, continues reading. The man is amazed, they're looking like, what's going on, who is this guy? Takes out another arrow, he shoots him, hits him again, Abbad simply takes it out, throws it on the ground, and continues reading. A third arrow strikes him. He takes it out, throws it on the ground, he continues reading, finishes what he was reciting, goes into ruku and goes into sajda. When he goes into sajda, he starts to think, I have bled out. He had bled out a lot. And he felt like, if I die and this man gets through the guard who's with me, the partner, he's asleep. So if the Prophet, any injury comes to the Prophet with the Sahaba, it will be my fault. So think of this. He reaches out in sajda and awakens his partner. Ammar wakes up and he sees him, he sees the condition, sees the blood flowing from his body, he's bleeding out. And he says to him, what's going on? Why are you doing it? He says that the man shot me with an arrow. When he gets up, the man runs away. He gets scared, he runs away. And Ammar, he tells him, why did you awaken me when you first got hit? What's going on? He said, I was reading a surah of the Quran and I did not want to cut it. I did not want to cut in the middle and go into sujood or break my prayer. So I continued to read. And this surah, the ulama say, it's Surah Al-Kahf. And we see, Yawm al-Jum'ah, the Prophet has told us about the benefits of reading Surah Al-Kahf on Friday. There's nur comes for that person, the person is protected from the Dajjal. Many benefits. And we read that surah every week. We read this surah on Friday like clockwork. And when we read through that surah, we have to think to ourselves, do we ever feel what Abbad was feeling? Do we ever get so engulfed into that our senses, our pain and everything like that just goes away? We forget the dunya, we forget everything, we go into the Quran and start listening to the Quran, and thinking about and pondering over the Quran. Well, this is what Abbad was doing. Why? Because he understood that Quran. He understood the message of the Quran, and this caused him to keep on reciting. He didn't want to break that recitation, and he continued in this way. The example I give to my students about the Quran is, the Quran is broken up into parts. So someone can tell me what's the parts, the different types of the surahs, okay? And there's another part of the Quran. What is that called? Sorry? Manzil, okay, but individual, there's something else, a smaller part.
Juz?
Juz, but smaller, it's individual. Ayah, right? And the meaning of ayah, anybody can tell me what's the meaning of ayah? Sentence? Sign, okay. What else? And there's another word? Miracle. Okay? Miracle could ayah, like Allah sends ayat, sends miracles to show the people, signs to show the people. So each ayah of the Quran is like a miracle in itself. Each ayah of the Quran is like a signboard. So the example I give my students is that when someone, just say for example, if you're driving through, Michigan, we don't really have a good lakeside, drive or anything like Lakeshore Drive. But just say like Chicago, or you could say, Chicago's not that good either, but you go to California, just say, okay? You're driving on the lakeshore, you're driving down, or you're driving through the mountains, or you're driving through, the Yosemite Park, for example, or something like that. And you have kids in the back, 2 of the kids in the back. Just say one of them is blind. Now you have one kid who can see, and everything you're driving through, and the kid's yelling and screaming, look at that, and he's, he's just amazed by the sights he's seeing. The one who's blind, the kid next to him, he cannot see, so he's just sitting back and he's like, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? He just wants to get through, he wants to get there, he can't see anything. The example of the person who can see and is watching every single sign and ayah is like the person who can understand the Quran. And the one who is blind is like the one who cannot understand the Quran. Now, alhamdulillah, this is a good way to prepare for Ramadan, for Taraweeh, the long episodes of reading Quran, listening to the Quran at night, especially at 11 o'clock, 10:30, 11 o'clock, it gets over here, and getting done like 1 o'clock, 1:30, we're going to be, Allah musta'an, Allah help us. But we have this recitation of the Quran, and to prepare for that, one of the good ways is to understand the Quran. Start to try to understand, get a gist of the Quran, so we know what we're listening to. If you look in the Ramadan itself, the first maybe 10 days, 11 days go by, and the first surah that almost everybody kind of understands is Surah Yusuf. Okay, Surah Yusuf, it's like a story, it's interesting, everybody knows the story. So when Surah Yusuf comes, what happens? Everybody before that, everybody's like sleeping in prayer and thinking about who knows what. Surah Yusuf comes, everybody's awake. Everybody's standing there, and they're listening attentively, and they're understanding, and they're kind of getting words here and there. They're understanding what's going on. They're understanding that story of Surah Yusuf, of Yusuf alayhi salam. So they like that, and they enjoy those prayers. And even though the Imam is going on that same 1.5 hour, 2 hours of prayer, but it doesn't seem that long anymore. Why? Because they understood that Quran, they benefited and they enjoyed that Quran, that recitation of the Quran. Imam At-Tabari, rahimahullah, he says, إِنِّي لَعَجِبُ مِمَّنْ قَرَأَ الْقُرْآنَ وَلَمْ يَعْلَمْ تَأْوِيلَهُ كَيْفَ يَتَلَذَّذُ بِقِرَاءَتِهِ. That I'm amazed by the one, someone who reads the Quran, someone who reads the Quran, but he does not understand or does not know the ta'wil, does not know the tafsir of the Quran, does not understand the words of the Quran. How is that person ever going to feel lazat? How is he going to ever feel lazat, or she's going to feel enjoyment in reciting that Quran? It can never happen. You have to start to understand the Quran, and then you'll enjoy it, inshallah ta'ala. Imam Nawawi rahimahullah, he says that the one who reads the Quran and does not cry, someone who reads the Quran, walam yabki, does not cry, he should cry over his not crying. He should feel this remorse that I can't even understand the Quran, I can't even cry over this recitation, like the Sahaba would cry all the time. Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu, he was bakka, meaning bakka, he would cry a lot. And one of the things he would do is when he was reciting the Quran, he would cry and cry and cry. You know the famous incident of Aisha radiallahu anha, when Rasulullah asked her, go mur Abu Bakr, that go and tell the Abu Bakr and order him to yusalli bin nas, go and tell him to lead the prayer of the musalli, go and tell him to lead the prayer. And Aisha radiallahu anha, she says, she gave it as an excuse, but it was a valid excuse, that he cries a lot. He cannot keep, whenever he reads the Quran, he cries. And we see that the Sahaba, they would do this. Many Sahaba, they would go start reading tahajjud prayer, start reading prayer, or reciting the Quran by looking at it. And when they start to, they would stop at one ayah that would just hit them like a brick, and they would start to recite that ayah and ayah over and over again. The whole night would pass by, and they don't even know what's going on. We have the example of Abdullah ibn Amr al-As radiallahu anhu. He actually got married. His father was worried about him. Not worried because he's out there maybe getting into drugs, or maybe he's doing haram, he's doing this, he's doing that. He wasn't worried about that. He was worried his son was too much into ibadah. He was praying too much. He was fasting too much. So he said, you know what, let us get him settled down. Let him get married. Maybe inshallah ta'ala he'll change. He got married. And they say the night of his wedding, he came into the room, and he didn't even know his wife's there. He didn't even go and say salam to his wife. He went, he started, he said salam, but he started to pray, and he forgot about his wife. He forgot about his bride. He actually spent the whole night in prayer. After a few days, the father-in-law, they come to the daughter-in-law, and they ask, how's everything going? How do you like my son? She said, he's a nice guy, he's good. But he hasn't even touched the bed yet. He hasn't even slept yet. He hasn't even come near me yet. Now, the Prophet ﷺ, he called him, he said, what's going on? The complaint came to the Prophet ﷺ, and he called him, and he found out. And this was all because he was praying and he was enjoying the Quran so much, he forgot about his wedding night. He forgot about his wife. And imagine someone getting married. We can think about our days, or those of us who are married. Imagine that night, how excited we were, and how we were, things going through our minds, and who knows what. And at that time, Abdullah ibn Amr, he forgets about his wife. And there's a nice, excellent example of Iyas ibn Muawiyah, one of the famous scholars. And he says that there's basically the example. He says مثل الذين يقرؤون القرآن وهم لا يعلمون تفسيره. He says the example of those who read the Quran but they don't understand the Quran. They don't understand the tafsir. They don't know the tafsir of the Quran. Is the example كمثل قوم جاءهم كتاب من ملك ليلى. That their king, an example of a qawm, of a people, their king sends them a letter at night, and this letter comes to them, but because they have no lights, they don't have the electricity we have today, they can't read that letter. So they're standing the whole night and trying to understand what does this letter say, trying to, they don't have mobiles, they can put the, flashlight on or whatever. They don't have the cell phones, they can put the thing. But they're like trying to look, what's this say? What's this letter say? Our king, our beloved king has sent this letter, what does it say? But they can't read it. But then the person who comes with a misbah, and this is one of the names, one of the reasons why we named our institute al-misbah, is like the person who brings a light, brings a lantern so they can read that letter. And that letter has come from Malik al-Muluk, from the King of Kings, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He has sent us this risala, He has sent us this last message, Hudan lil-muttaqeen, this guidance for all mankind, for us to read and understand. So inshallah ta'ala, once we start to understand this Quran, we'll be like the Sahaba, inshallah ta'ala, or we'll try to be like them, that we understand it, we enjoy it, and this is the first step, inshallah ta'ala. Another reason why we're here, another reason why, is we see that Arabic itself, Fusha, has been forgotten. Very few, even in the Arab Mamalik, even in the Arab countries, the Fusha, the real Arabic, the real Fusha Arabic is not even used. Actually, there's Amiya. Amiya is like a street language. So, you have street language being used in the marketplaces everywhere. Even, I remember when I was in Medina University and I was studying, our teachers would tell us, do not learn Amiya. They would keep on telling us, do not learn Amiya, because it's ruining the language. Everybody's forgetting the real language because of this Amiya, because of the slang. As we see here in the US also, we have Ebonics, right? People are forgetting real English because they're speaking Ebonics. So Allah protect us all from losing that rich language which is Arabic. So here we have the Arabic is being lost. And I want to give you some examples before we get into the studies itself, before we get into the grammar, into the material itself. Some examples of how we're losing our capacity to learn Arabic. Here, this is, for example, you can see here, Saloon. Saloon is basically like a barber shop, you could say, or like barber shop basically. And Saloon ifal lirrijal. And the person who made this sign, instead of trying to go and find out what they're actually trying to say here, Ifal is not evil, it's Ifal, it's the name of the saloon, the name of the barbershop. So they just translated it as evil saloon for men. So I don't know what kind of activity is going on in that barbershop, but I wouldn't go there. Another example. Okay, this one's not showing up. Okay, this another example was actually, is it children? No, it's not. Okay, we can skip that one. Okay, this is my favorite actually. This is a restaurant in Iraq, and it's like a 5-star hotel, grand hotel, and they have a buffet there, and it says meatball. You guys know what meatball is, right? Meatballs. Okay. So what happened was they took the meatball. They translated and transliterated it into Arabic, and then some guy, some dummy, he tried to translate it back into Arabic. And this is what you get. Paul is dead. Okay, I wouldn't want to be eating that. I don't know what's in there. So meatball, and actually another way to read this is mayyit bol. Okay, mayyit bol. Mayyit is basically a dead person. Okay, and that's what they're saying. Paul is dead. And actually another thing is Paul is not said as bol. Bol actually means urine. In Arabic, bol is bol. Bol, it means urine. So this even goes worse. It's not Paul is dead. like dead urine or something. I don't know what it says. But anyways, Paul is dead. Okay, this is just showing one of the examples. If we start to lose Arabic, we start to use Google Translate, or we try to use these things to translate, we're gonna lose it. And imagine if someone started using these same techniques on the Quran. They'll just slash the meaning of the Quran apart, and Allah protect us, Allah musta'an, from that happening. So Bismillah, we'll start into the material itself. This is an intro to Quranic Arabic class. I taught this a few times online, and some of these classes I did it in session, not the whole course, but it's basically 40 lessons. There's 40 lessons that we do, and because of the shortage of time, and this is 40 lessons over a period of a year. Okay, it takes a whole year to complete this. And this 40 lessons we do like once a week basically. It's a weekly course, and it takes about anywhere between 1.5 hours to 2 hours per lesson. So what we're doing here, inshallah, in these next 10 days, we're going to do 10 lessons from this course, and inshallah you'll be well on your way to learning the Quran and understanding the Quran, getting basic grasp of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying. So in this lesson, we're going to be learning nouns, which is asma, demonstrative pronouns, pronouns and adjectives. When is Salatul Isha?
11 o'clock.
Okay, so we're going to be learning these things inshallah ta'ala, and they're going to be learning the masculine words. Okay, masculine meaning mudhakkar. Okay, this is going to be the masculine type of these words, and then in lesson 2 we'll go to feminine inshallah ta'ala. So here we have nouns. A noun is called an ism in Arabic. Okay, ism also means a name. Okay, for like a ism shape, a name of a person is also ism. But also noun is an ism in the grammar language. You could say you say a noun as ism. Singular ism. The plural is asma. Okay, asma. Now there are 3 types of words. To make a sentence, you need 3 types of different words to put into that sentence. And it's a noun, ism, we have a verb, which is fi'l, and then we have particle, which is harf. Okay, these are the 3 types of words that are used. Any combination of these 3 words, these 3 types of words, they join together to form kalam, speech, or a sentence, which is a jumla. Okay? A noun is a person, place, thing, or idea. Just like in English, person, place, thing, they teach you that in first, second grade or something. So a noun is a person, place, thing, or an idea. Now in Arabic, there are only 2 genders. There's no transgender, there's nothing like that. But there's either male or there's a female. And for animals, for even a cell phone, for a table, for example, laptop, anything you have, a book, it's either going to be a masculine word or it's going to be a feminine word. So some examples, like a book is kitab. Kitab is a masculine word. And we're going to go into a little bit how to distinguish, how do you know if it's a masculine word or a feminine word. Inshallah, we'll go into that in the next couple of lessons. So here, kitab, for example, we have that. We have maktab, which is a desk, makatib, We have qalam, for example, also, which is a pen. Okay, these are all masculine words. We have maktaba. So maktab is a table or a desk. And to turn it, when you would call it maktaba wa tam marbuta, that's one of those alamat of ta'nith, it's a feminine word. Maktaba is basically a library. Okay, library. So you have these kind of words. So a noun is anything that can be a person, can be an object, can be an idea, these kind of things, so on and so forth. And the indefinite article is like in English, a or an. Okay, a or an we say in English. In Arabic also there is an indefinite article, which is the tanween. And I'm sorry, but if you look at these examples, each one of these examples actually has a tanween at the end of it. So we have amrun, that noon sound, that tanween sound at the end, that is it's an indefinite article, and that's how we know that the word is indefinite. It's not talking about specific, like amr is like a command. It's not a specific command, it's just a command. Okay? We have kitabun, which is a book, and then we have al-kitab, which means the book, a specific book that we're speaking of. Rajulun is a man, not the man, not the specific man that we were speaking of. Any questions on anything of this so far? Everything's clear, inshallah? Now we have demonstrative pronouns, and this is called ism ishara, okay, or ism isharat also, asma isharat, you could say ism isharat. Ishara is ashara yushiru isharatan, which means to point towards something. So a demonstrative pronoun basically points towards something that you want to get someone's attention towards something. So what is the example, what is the meaning of that? Is a word that is used to substitute, okay, substitute meaning, instead of saying al-kitab every time in a sentence, you're going to just replace it with the demonstrative pronoun, saying dhalika, or if it's close to you, hada, and we'll go into that inshallah also. So it's used to substitute a noun, so we can understand it by context. It can be understood by what we're saying. By we're talking about a specific thing, we change it to a demonstrative pronoun. We have hada and dhalika. This hada is something that's qareeb, something that's close. So hada, and then we have dhalika, which is something that's kind of far away. Okay, something that is kind of far away is dhalika. And these are masculine words. So these replace masculine nouns. We can join the two words together, okay, which we just learned, the noun itself, the ism, or the asma, and then the ism ishara, the demonstrative pronoun. We can add those together, we can put those, join those together to form a complete sentence, and we have some examples here. We have hada rajulun, okay, hada rajulun, meaning that this is a man, okay. Hada rajulun, this, and then a man. And we have that, dhalika rajulun, okay. Then we have hada kitabun, okay, this is a book. And then we have dhalika kitabun, okay, that is a book. Hada amrun, this is a command. Dhalika amrun, that is a command. Okay, dhalika maktabun, dhalika qalamun, whatever we want to use, to substitute. Dhalika for something that's at a distance, something ba'id, and something close or qareeb, or qurb, is hada, something that's nearby. Another type of word is the pronoun. Okay, so another type of word is pronoun. Here we have pronouns, we have the